Welcome to Jesus Timeout. I'm Juliana Page. Every great leader is formed in God's presence. So, before we do anything else today, let's pause, be still, and spend a few moments with Jesus. Welcome back to your Jesus Timeouts. I was really sensing that there is such an opening right now for relational refreshing and relational restoration. Yes. We've been inside Courage Co. We have been talking about trust. Essentially, what we do in a bigger mission is help leaders become leaders God can trust. And when I speak about leaders, I mean everybody leading a human, even if that's yourself. So it's really leading without a title, because we're truly doing that every day. But we need to be leaders God can trust. Sure, we are loved by God. We are radically pursued by God, right? That position in God does not change. However, if we are trustworthy or not is something that depends on what we develop with Him. And it requires stewardship of our thoughts, of our emotions, of our hearts, of our words, of our behavior, of our action, of our inaction, how we handle conflict, how we handle adversity. Do we rise to the occasion? Do we run from things? This is all in the relational realm, and that requires stewardship to love well. And love is no weak thing. Love is so radical that you can't really love apart from the Father. You can't love apart from God, right? Because it's so supernatural. But darkness is overcome by the love of God, right? When the light invades, things can shift. So I just was feeling like there is freedom for hearts and the innermost parts for folks. And so that's what I wanted to give you. This is something that's been life-changing over the years when you are a really, I would say, sensitive human, right? When you do allow God to convict you, when you do allow God to touch and kind of poke on your heart, when you do allow God to deal with you, right? And show you, and you're very intentional about how you connect with other people and what your impact on them is, you can then also face a whole lot of complexity that other people that don't put that kind of investment in don't experience. So we're going to untangle that a little bit. And I do want to invite you to Inside Courage Co. You can go listen. If you didn't join us live, you can go listen to that that live training that we just did this past week on the 16th on Who Can You Trust? This is so powerful. I was led to make this integrated tree diagram, so it really gives you great visuals for what it looks like to be somebody that is trustworthy, which helps you see others who are who are not. So it's just very, very helpful. So I encourage you to go partake in the goodness that is, and consider Courage Co. being a place where you can train and grow and develop and strengthen and get encouraged and built up month after month. This can definitely be the place where you can receive. It's also the place where you can train and get new skills and mastery in a space where that is the focus. We are devoted to really building up, strengthening, and establishing big leaders in the Lord, and deploying them into their destiny. So not only do we help you get activated, prophetically trained, certified in spirit-driven success, whatever it happens to be, wherever our paths cross, we do make sure that you are very mature, that you are healthy, and that you are full of the Lord so that you can do what He's called you to do. We deploy you into that and back you into that. So back you up as you pursue that. So if that sounds like what you need, I know my heart breaks for folks that don't have support and leadership and covering and accountability. And if this could be this support to you and add to your advisory board, add to your support, or help get you started and create some health and some stability in your life, it would be a great honor to be able to run with you as a spiritual running buddy in that way. But we do things a little bit different. We go deep quick, and we make sure that you really get tools. So it will require courage. No matter what level you go to, the more courage is required. So let's go ahead and just breathe together. I will make sure too that all the details about Courage Co are in the show notes. So if you do want to come, it's great to listen and get counsel like this, but it's also powerful to practice the tools and be mentored and get questions answered or be held accountable to the standard that you're called to live at. So if you do want to take it deeper, you're invited to come join us over there. But go ahead, if you're able, you can close your eyes. If you're sitting, sometimes I like taking off shoes, and you can literally feel the floor beneath you and try to put every print of your toes on the floor and try to put the whole bottom of your foot on the floor. Try to shoot your heel into the floor, like try to get the whole bottom of your foot and your toes and your heel to touch the floor. It gives your brain something to do. Then if you're sitting, you can picture your two seat bones really going straight down. It'll help you immediately with your posture when you picture that. Picture it like roots, just shooting straight down. It'll shoot you straight up. Then if you need to, this helps too to get, oxygen and open your body a little bit. Shrug your shoulders. Sometimes that's where we hold a lot of tightness. Just kind of bring them up and down and up and down. Shake them a little bit. And then you can also, ever so gently, use even your nose and try to write your name. It'll help you just casually. You can write your name in cursive if you remember how to do that, but this will help you loosen up your neck where we carry a lot of tension too. Okay, and all of this will open you up for some deep breaths that we're going to do here together. We're going to breathe in for 3. We're going to hold that breath that we breathe in for 3 seconds, and then we're going to blow that powerfully out of our mouth. And so what I like to think about literally trying to bring in as much air as possible, as much newness of life as possible, and bringing your belly button all the way to your backbone. You literally can't take in any more air. Then you hold it, so you let that newness go wherever it needs to go in your being. You let it sort of dispel, repel, replace, whatever it's got to do. You just get it acclimated in you. And then because it's surfaced all the stuff that's no longer yours to carry, you release that as powerfully as you can out of your mouth, because it is safe to let it go, because now there can be room for so much more. So if that helps you think about this, we're going to go ahead and do that together. So go ahead and breathe in. Hold it. And release that powerfully out of your mouth. Breathe in. Hold it. And release that powerfully out of your mouth. One more. Go ahead and breathe in. Hold it. Release that powerfully out of your mouth. It's like wringing yourself out. So in the future, if you want to do this, you just breathe in and you push your belly out. I might have said that backwards before. So you breathe in, you push your belly out, and then you wring yourself out when you blow all the air out, and you suck your belly all the way into your backbone to make sure you got all of that stuff you don't want to carry out of you. So now, just as you're sitting here, see what you notice. Sometimes you might feel tingly. Sometimes you might feel, even, this sounds weird, but sometimes you might feel more space in your brain, right? In your head cavity, right? Like there was tightness up there and that somehow loosened, or maybe you feel a little more flexible in your shoulder and your neck area where we hold a lot of that tension. Maybe your belly's not as tight. Sometimes we hold a lot of things there too. Maybe that loosened up. Maybe you just feel lighter in general. Maybe you're just aware of this present moment for the first time today. That's a win. This, over time, teaches you to come home to this place where Christ dwells within you. This is your safety. This is your stability. This is your anchor. And there's never a day that goes by that you do not have the ability to anchor to God. You can anchor and stabilize as often as you need. But this is also why we have wise counsel, really great peers, and wonderful people around us that can help us do this too. So that's why today is going to be really helpful to help you properly assess those people because you are worthy of love, you are worthy of respect, you are worthy of honor, you are worthy of support. But sometimes we give that expectation. We really look to other people to give what we would be willing to give, and they don't have capacity for that, and we don't properly assess that. And then we end up being disappointed and really hurt. So I want to bring us into this topic today because my aim is really to help you get a new way to love yourself and others well, okay? And with wisdom, because when you are a big-hearted person, you have to make sure that you got wisdom in how you navigate life, okay? So let's go into this. I am calling this honoring the relationships that God actually gave you. Now, you are required to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, so you have to start with God because it is from Him that we can receive love and that we can understand love and that we can understand how to love ourselves personally, practically, consistently. And then it's from that place that we can do that effectively with other people, right? So if we just try to love people without God, we get skewed and warped in that. If we try to love people on reserves that we have and we're not even loving ourselves, then we end up becoming angry, frustrated, resentful, and that can create dynamics too, okay? So one of the greatest gifts that God can give us is discernment. Oh my goodness. Not just about who belongs in our lives, but also about how we belong in their life, okay? So many of us enter relationships asking, what can this person be to me? Right? Kind of the human part of this is we go around the world looking for what we can get, what we can consume, how this can advance some sort of agenda that we have. And that is wild because that's not how the kingdom works, because the kingdom is like an upside down kingdom. Okay. So wisdom would ask a different question, and it's, who am I supposed to be to them? Who am I supposed to be to them? Not like, what can I get from this person? How can this person be useful to me? Right. But who am I supposed to be to this person? What role am I designed to play in their life? What is the purpose, the mission, and the assignment of this connection? Because if I'm not clear on that, people will get hurt. Okay? So every relationship has a design, just like you have a design. God says, before you were even formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. Why? Because He designed you. He formed you. He has shaped you and He anointed you, right? So same is true for relationships. There's relationships that God orchestrates for certain purposes. He divinely orchestrates them. And when we operate outside of the design, we bring the relationship out of function and into dysfunction, okay? And then sometimes without meaning to, and some others deliberately meaning to, we create dynamics that destroy, that cause strife, that cause division, and that really, really hurt people. And if we are insecure or immature, we don't clean up that mess. And it breaks trust, and it creates a whole lot of issues, okay? So every relationship has a design. That part right there might be revolutionary to you, because if you grew up thinking that you were just supposed to be useful to a family system, you didn't have the privilege of being nurtured into your becoming and having a solid identity form. You just became useful to a system around you. And sometimes we carry that into adulthood and relationship dynamics, okay? And then we don't know our identity, we don't know our function, and then we don't know how to properly fit into design, okay? And co-create. Because on the flip side of this, when you know who you are, when you know your design, when you can recognize what God is divinely orchestrating, it is divine. It is divine. It is easy. It is so life-giving. It is essential to your purpose and your destiny. It is elevating. It's just beautiful. It is super natural and it's so good, okay? But when you can't recognize that, you have the exact opposite experience. So when we ignore God's design, we create, okay? We co-create unnecessary disappointment, confusion, and pain. Selah. But here is what I want to invite you to think about. When you can ask these 5 questions, this will really help you pray intentionally before pursuing anything. I don't care if it's a relationship, a conversation, an interaction, a meeting, whatever it is. You pray. You also seek the counsel of the Lord. You intercede for this person. You love this person. One of the best things you can do is even pray for a person before you meet with them. That's one of the things that I'm doing. If I have any sort of commute before I'm meeting a person, I am praying the entire way about that meeting, about God blessing that person, about God guarding whatever's coming out of our mouths. Like, it's just something that is so intentional, okay? So here are some questions. I encourage you to pray through these with the Lord about people in your life. If you want to love them well and treasure them and honor them, pray. Pray through these. Number 1, this role. What is the role? Who is this person to me? What is the role? So not every relationship occupies the same space or place in your life, okay? A friend, a mentor, a coach, a therapist, a client, a pastor, a teammate, a sister, a family member, a mother, okay? Clarity about that role is what creates health and healthy expectations. Because if we do not know the role, then we do not treat the person properly. Right? So for example, if you're meant to be a friend, but you show up as a coach, you're changing that friendship. If you are meant to be a mentor, but then you drift into friendship, you start confusing the mentorship. And that can make it really challenging and complex and introduce different dynamics that are hard to navigate. And sometimes there's not the maturity there to navigate that. So who is this person to me? Okay? 2, purpose. Why has God brought us together? I mean, the level of people who don't ask this question is profound. Why has God brought us together? Because if you can sit in that and how amazing that is, that God knew exactly where you would be, exactly what you'd be experiencing, and exactly who you need to be connected to, and he just makes that person like, poof, show up in your life. Like, are you kidding me? He is so good in that way. So when you can see it, you can trust God on a whole new level, and you can treasure what he's entrusting to you. He entrusts people to you, not to gossip about, not to get in these triangles and talk about these other people, not to slander them or defame them, not to gang up on them, not to envy them or compare yourself to them. He brings people into your life as blessings to you, as gifts to you. And it's so important that you recognize the purpose of why God brought you together with that person so that you can appreciate it all the more. You can cultivate it, you can nurture it, you can make sure that it stays in agreement with what God has in mind. Okay? So with that, some relationships are lifelong. Others are seasonal. Some are for encouragement. Others are for sharpening. Notice there's no good, bad, right, or wrong. Notice, okay? Be curious. Do not force permanence where God intended purpose. We get in trouble sometimes too when, let's say, you are wired to be a person of integrity. You are somebody that initiates communication, makes sure that things are clear, goes above and beyond in that way, makes sure that people can transition or navigate transition in healthy ways. You are transparent about your stance. You communicate any shifts so it's not confusing and there's not gaps for other people, so they're not going into vain imaginations in their mind about what could be going on. You bless them by being very clear, okay? But that doesn't happen randomly. That requires so much intention and courage to do across the board, okay? Now, people can expect that loyalty for life, right? When that might not be the purpose. So you have to pay attention to that, because sometimes if you are wired a certain way, you might feel then obligated later to keep showing up that way. And when it starts shifting into an obligation or something you feel you should or have to do, your position is already off. You're already out of alignment, and now it's going to start getting unhealthy. Next, function. What is this relationship actually designed to carry? An example of this: if you are wanting deep, mutually honoring and respectful relationship, mutual effort on both sides, somebody that takes initiative like you do, somebody that checks in like you do, that's praying, that's interceding, that's covering. Like if you're wanting that level of depth and integrity and open communication and transparency, if you want a place of refuge and friendship, if you are seeing somebody who's in a season of deep, deep healing, where they appear to be, in a sense, all over the place, not that that's bad, but they are processing so much that there's not a whole lot of consistency. Today, maybe their mood is here, but tomorrow their mood is here, and that is totally fine. However, they will not have the capacity to meet you in what you need and desire in relationship in that season. So in that season, you are going to have to change what you offer that dynamic so you don't get that confused and you don't put the wrong kind of expectation on somebody to give you something they cannot. Right? Like that kind of makes sense. You're not going to resent somebody for literally not having the capacity to give you what you want. That's a you adjustment. So what is this relationship actually designed to carry? Not every relationship is meant to carry your deepest struggles, your biggest decisions, or most vulnerable places. Some relationships are for collaboration. Some are simply for joy, and you have to honor the function instead of demanding more, or instead of getting upset that your needs aren't met here in this one place, because no one person is designed to fit all your needs. And the last time you probably looked around, you could see that people have very full lives. They all have something going on. They all have personal things that they're struggling with. They all have things that are demanding their time, their focus, their energy. And it is a gift even just to have their presence in your life, but that can't always be what you expect or what you need. And this is why communication is so important, but you won't communicate if you don't understand the function and what possibly is creating dysfunction. Next one, access. How much of myself should I entrust to this relationship? This is a biggie. And you might have a desire, like you might have a huge heart. You might be extremely generous. You might be a deep well and have a whole lot to give. However, if this person ain't there, you can't give that much of yourself to them because they literally are not built to handle that. And they won't know what to do with that. They definitely won't be able to treasure it in the way that maybe you intend or expect, but you'll miss it if you don't see their current capacity. And usually that's something that they reflect back to you, or greater, you can ask them. What capacity do you have for friendship in this season, relationship in this season? What would really support you in this season? A lot of times, people have never even answered that for themselves. And so they carry all of these expectations that you're going to show up and really validate them and appreciate them and honor all of these things that they only think about in their head but never speak out of their mouth. You're supposed to be an excellent mind reader. They never communicate a word to you. Right? And that's not fair. So we have to assess how much of ourself we have to either offer or restrain. Okay? And there's other places too where that can go. All right? Access should grow with demonstrated character. If somebody is showing you that they are not trustworthy, you do not give more of yourself to that person, and you do not reward more access to that person. If that person is going behind your back, if that person is demonstrating secrecy, deliberately going around you and not communicating directly with you, if that person is forming side conversations with people that are dear to you and close to you and starting to change how those people relate with you, if that person is seeding things that are inappropriate outside of your presence behind your back, right? That person does not get more access to you. That person is not fit to know what is going on in the deepest parts of your life. And you cannot confide in that person. And that is sad. But it's better to know that and only Move based on somebody's character. Do not over give access. Do not over reward or over commit support or availability until you start to see not just what somebody says sounds good or would be a good idea, but what their character is actually demonstrating to you that they can handle. If they say, I love you, but I trust you, but you mean the world to me, but, oh yeah, by the way, here's what I'm going to go do anyway. That's your clue. That's a clue. Okay? Now, you don't want to give access simply because somebody desires it. And this is where we get confused. Somebody can desire friendship, closeness, connection all day long and still not have the character to know what to do with that. They don't even know the gift of you, and they can absolutely mishandle you, and that will be your fault at the end of the day because you didn't properly handle them. That's hard to see, but it's better if you can see it first before you overgive and feel really embarrassed and humiliated about that later. God is protecting you, so you really want to check those checks in your spirit. Wait, what is this relationship actually capable of carrying? Really good to know, right? Like in friendships and relationships, you have to date a little bit to see like, what is the Lord doing here? What does this have the capacity to hold? What season is this person in? You have to start evaluating a little bit deeper so that you're not blindsided, okay? And this goes both ways. Not only should you ask what weight they can carry, but what weight they want to carry. Those are two different things. What do they consistently honor? What do they protect? What do they pursue? Their choices reveal their values. And sometimes people aren't rejecting you. They're simply revealing what they value most because you are never here to control people. And you can't do that. You are not here to manipulate people. Think about it. God does not control you and God does not manipulate you. And that is not how he leads you to relate with other people. Okay? So those are definitely not even options. So when you see yourself operating that way, you are creating problems. Okay? Now, you are here to love people. You're here to love people. So if they show you that they are not capable of loving you the way you need to be loved, that's going to show you a lot. If they show you that they have different values than you, that'll tell you what you need to know. If they show you they have a different definition of what you value, that will help you. They're simply revealing what they value most. And if somebody's values consistently differ from yours, wisdom may invite you to reposition the relationship, not out of offense, but out of stewardship. If you consistently show me that you say one thing to my face and do something completely different behind my back, that shows me exactly how you feel about me and exactly where I'm positioned in your life and exactly that there is no honor and no respect here because you would not do that if there was. Right? Now, you can want to be an honorable and respectable person all day, but a person of honor and respect demonstrates that. So if we're different on those values, I'm not going to control you to try to prevent you from hurting me. In some senses, I will let you hurt me to see that that's actually what was in your heart all along. Does that make sense? Sometimes God will let something play out so you can see what's really operating there. He will allow it to play out because if not for that mercy, you would try to make something healthy that is not healthy because it takes two people to co-create a healthy relationship dynamic. And if one person is committed to that and the other person is not, if you're committed to truth and somebody else is committed to secrecy and lies, that will never work. If you're committed to integrity and this person is committed to compromise, that will never work. And this makes sense when you hear it this way, but it's different when you steward it this way, okay? So let's pray here. Father, give me the wisdom to honor every relationship according to its purpose. Help me to stop placing expectations where you haven't placed design. Teach me to love people well while stewarding my heart wisely. Show me not only who belongs in my life, but who you are calling me to be in theirs. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. There's some great scriptures too. I just want to give you in case you want to read these a little bit later. They are chastening ones for sure. Okay. Here are a couple of them. First one is, I'm just looking for it here. Proverbs 16:28. I'll give you two versions. A dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends. Wow, wow, wow. The Bible also says whatever happens in darkness will come to light. And that's so sad. Think about it. It takes years to build beautiful, flourishing relationship and seconds to destroy that trust. Based on something like this, being dishonest, spreading strife, and whispering behind someone's back. Wow, wow, wow. A perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. Whoo-wee, right? Proverbs 17:9. Whoever covers an offense seeks love. Okay, a best practice. Even if somebody comes to you and you are a trusted counsel, wise counsel, which means there might be something they're processing in their heart about a relationship that's challenging for them. Okay? You can restore that person in love and encourage them to do right by the person they're talking about, to steward that situation right, but you will stay in your business. What does that mean? You don't go talk to the other person. If you have shared relationship with that other person, you don't go share what that person gave to you in confidence, right? Think about it. When you go to hopefully a coach or a therapist, there's protocol. There's professionalism. There has to be trust. That therapist can't go out there airing your business and posting about it on the internet. That would be insane. You would never trust that therapist again, and that would cause more harm to the client. Same is true in friendships. Same is true in relationships. Think about it. If you were in the same shoes, if you confided and shared the depth of your heart to somebody, and now you know that that's somehow in another friend's mouth that you never shared that information with, and somehow this other friend knows about it, and then there's a whole triangle around you of people talking about what was shared. You will be devastated. You will feel embarrassed. You will question the wisdom of what you thought you had in that confidence and that refuge in that relationship. You will not trust that relationship anymore or anybody else that partook in those conversations around you, because no one came to you and nobody trusted what you entrusted to them. That can destroy even the closest of friends. And who do you think rejoices in that? The devil. God does not rejoice in that. God does not rejoice in that. So it is imperative that we learn how to walk in wisdom, in discernment, with our love. Okay? And asking these 5 questions can really help you do this. And I also recommend studying what God calls love. And let that be your practice. You love people because you're loving. You honor people because you're honorable. You walk in integrity because you're a person of integrity. That doesn't mean that you always are going to be treated that way, because people treat you the way they value you. And often that has nothing to do with you. But it is important that you do not miss what you see and how they see you, because that will affect the entire dynamic and atmosphere of the relationship. Okay? So if you want to go deeper in this, we are next month in Courage Co. in August, we're going to talk about disentangling from immature people and disentangling from trust issues. Okay? This is not ganging up on people. This is not being suspicious of people, but this is doing your work to reconcile, to have courageous conversations, and to do what's required to steward relationships well. So I recommend go back to listen to Who Can You Trust, which is all about biblical wisdom and discernment and healthy boundaries. And then what we're going to move into next month is all about how you can clean up what the lack of those things has created in your life so that you can steward relationship in really healthy ways and reap the good fruit of that. Okay, so this is going to be really, really deep. This is absolutely life-changing. I encourage you to join us for those things. We also have our prophetic encouragement night. We call it Kingdom Builders inside Courage Co. That's going to be on July 30th at 7 p.m. So we've got that live event coming up too. So come join us live, come fellowship with us, come get encouraged inside Courage Co. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who could use a moment with Jesus. And if you're looking for a community that will help you continue growing in your faith and leadership, I'd love to welcome you inside Courage Co. Until next time, keep making room for His presence.